Back in studio and ready to prep for round 2 with another postseason edition of This Week in CAA Football presented by Geico. I'm Bobby Broyles alongside my colleague Tim McDonald. Both of us hope you all enjoyed the holiday last week. And Tim, tell us how things played out across the conference with 3 home contests to open up the FCS playoffs.
I mean, tough way to end a remarkable turnaround season. You got to start with the loss because we'll move on. We still have 3 teams left, but a tough way to end a remarkable turnaround for Elon. The Phoenix went back and forth with Furman in their first ever home playoff game. You sit there, you win the turnover battle 3-1, had 3 rushing touchdowns from Deshaun McNair, but came up short after a blocked extra point with 11 minutes remaining. That was the difference in the 28-27 loss. I know there was still a lot of time left, and I know we look at that one play, but that's really tough to swallow if you're Elon. The Phoenix still have plenty to build on for 2018. I mean, 8 overall wins, 6-2 record in CAA play. Davis Cheek was named Offensive Rookie of the Year. Kurt Signetti was named CAA Coach of the Year. Plus a whole lot of key starters, not just guys back, but a lot of key guys back from a very young roster this season. So plenty to look forward to in 2018 for the Phoenix. In Durham, the Wildcats earned a rare shutout, just the 3rd for the program since 1999. First ever in the playoffs, grinding out a 14-0 win over Central Connecticut State. The defense kept New Hampshire alive, forcing 4 turnovers, allowing a season-low 248 yards of total offense, and over the last 5 games alone, that side of the ball has been pretty good since that loss to a couple of different ways, but giving up just 11.6 points per contest during that stretch, so the defense really won the game for New Hampshire, kept things alive. Finally, Stony Brook did pretty much whatever and whenever it wanted to do on offense in that impressive 59-29 win over Lehigh at home, over 600 yards of total offense, including 354 on the ground and 6 touchdowns rushing. Donald Leontine, Jordan Gowans each scored twice, while Sherman Alston and Stacey Vidal each had over 80 yards and 1 touchdown. The Seawolves' 10 wins tied their program record set back in 2012 and now face top-seeded James Madison for the first trip versus James Madison and first trip back to Harrisonburg since 2015. The top 2 teams in the CAA standings meet with everything on the line in one of 4 second-round matchups between teams from the same league. So at least you feel a little bit better about it. It's also happening around the FCS playoffs. 16 teams remain right now, with the quarterfinals looming next weekend, and CAA football is guaranteed at least to have one team, one of those teams, hopefully 2, advancing. And as the postseason continues to roll along, just nothing better at this time of the year than FCS playoffs. You're watching all the scores, seeing everything, but still really good to have 3 teams left.
Time to dive into the second round of the FCS playoffs. Let's begin in Harrisonburg at 2 o'clock on ESPN3 and the Watch ESPN app as the number 1 seed JMU Dukes, coming off the first round bye, take on a red-hot Stony Brook squad that enters riding a 6-game winning streak. Remember, these 2 didn't play each other in the regular season, but regardless, it should be a fantastic matchup, and it's unfortunate one of these teams won't advance.
Just, I guess, the piece of the pie at this time of the year. That's what you kind of have to deal with, knowing that. But that reason alone, the fact that the first and second place teams in the conference didn't play this season, raises the intensity level and raises it a lot much to the next level and then some outside of the normal playoff atmosphere. You're already playing for your life. Now you're playing against a familiar foe who you didn't even play this season, but you still know them well. This marks the 3rd straight year that we've seen 2 CAA teams squaring off in the playoffs, while the Dukes hope to add to that Division I leading 23-game winning streak and enter owning a perfect 4-0 record versus league teams all time in the postseason. Remember, they beat New Hampshire last year, beat Delaware back in the 2000s, so they've had this experience of taking care of business. The Seawolves are riding high after that dominating win and absolutely dominated the line of scrimmage. 30-point route of Lehigh to up that winning streak to 6 games. The offense averages right now 31 points. Both of these teams come in averaging over 30 and 165 yards rushing for Stony Brook. Leontine has scored 8 times along with 14 carries a game during that winning streak stretch, just to show you his production level and how much that's helped the offense as well. All year long, Stony Brook has heard some doubters and they've heard some questions behind other teams in the standings and just the way things worked out. And now Stony Brook gets a shot to prove its worth against the number 1 team in the FCS. JMU, on the other hand, that's a whole nother animal, but earned a much-deserved bye week off following that selection Sunday. The top seed honors, we know that the Dukes are waiting anxiously, and the way that this team has handled opponents in 2017 is vastly different than the title run a year ago. And the defense leads the nation right now in scoring, in total defense, in pass efficiency defense. No team has scored more than 14 points, and only 8 offensive touchdowns have been allowed throughout the entire season. So it's just been an absolute monster effort on defense, and the offense kind of thrives off that.
It does.
You have to believe Stony Brook will try its best to keep the committee of running backs fresh at all times. You look at at Stacey Bedell, you look at Gowans, who we talked about, you looked at Leontine. All of them are going to look to break through a Dukes' D that gives up just 82.5 yards and 2.4 yards per carry this season. So keeping them fresh and keeping them ready is going to be huge. Quarterback Joe Carbone needs to stay clean and needs to take care of the ball, which he's done for most of the fall. 7 straight games now with 2 touchdowns, and he hasn't thrown a pick since week 7. No Ray Bolden, we heard that from Coach Priori this week, means the Seawolves will need that success on the ground game more than ever, too, at this time of the year. Madison's offense has had its best offensive production running the ball during the last 6 games in that CAA title-clinching win at Elon to end the regular season. Brian Shore had all 3 of those rushing scores, but paved the way for JMU's 190 yards on the ground as a team. Again, the most rushing yards for JMU in 6 games up to that point. Expect the same type of commitment to the run if you're JMU versus the Stony Brook defense that we know can stop the run before Shore and the Dukes try and expose the secondary right now. If there's any weakness on Stony Brook on defense, it's that passing defense allows 227 yards per game. 11 different receivers for JMU have scored this season, led by 4 apiece from Ishmael Hyman, David Eldridge, Clayton Cheatham. All of those guys have 4 touchdowns, but we know how dangerous it does. It seems like every different week there's a new receiver stepping up and catching touchdowns some way. The last note I will look, I'll keep it simple. Keep an eye on how each team takes advantage of grabbing points inside the red zone. JMU is first in the CAA for red zone defense, while Stony Brook continues to lead all league teams in red zone offense. Something has to give there. Strap in, settle down, and expect a battle at Bridgeforth on Saturday, with the winner advancing to face either Southern Utah or Weber State from the Big Sky Conference in the quarters next weekend.
Shortly after 3, also on ESPN 3 and the Watch ESPN app, New Hampshire travels to 4th-seeded Central Arkansas out of the Southland Conference. The Wildcats own a 2-0 record versus the Southland in the FCS playoffs, with the most recent meeting coming in the 2013 quarterfinals.
Postseason experience and being in a spot where your season is on the line and things are at the edge of what's going to happen.
Yep.
That helped UNH last weekend against Central Connecticut State. I know you look at the score 14-0, but I think that really did come through. And it's going to need to be a factor again this Saturday versus a 10-1 Central Arkansas team that won the Southland Conference title outright, earned the number 4 seed. The Bears opened the year with a loss to Kansas State, respectable, 55-19 in that game in the first half, and ran the table from there with 10 straight wins, including a signature victory, 41-30 at home over then number 3 Sam Houston State, who, by the way, is the 6th seed in this tournament. So it goes to show you the quality. They have beaten some pretty good teams.
Yep.
We highlighted the importance of the Wildcat D earlier, recording the first shutout win for New Hampshire since 2010, and that unit will need to come through with another solid performance again if the Cats want absolutely any chance at advancing. Linebackers Quinlan Dean and Jared Keel had an impact nearly on every play last Saturday.
Yes,
spearhead the belief and the value for that defense in general, get the guys going on that side of the ball. The UNH offense moved the ball well at times against CCSU, but didn't finish drives and opportunities in spots where we've seen New Hampshire teams take care of business before. You saw 2 missed field goals. You saw another field goal blocked and only 61 rushing yards, but those were overcome by 299 passing yards for Trevor Knight, 10 catches, and I thought one of his best performances of the year from Malik Love, 123 yards to survive and move on. At this time, I guess that's all that matters, that you survive and move on. UCA comes in averaging 37 points, 468-plus yards a game, led by senior Hayden Hillbrand, who's thrown for 27 touchdowns, en route to being Southland Conference Player of the Year. Also, if you look across the board, you have the Southland Defensive Player of the Year, the Coach of the Year, Freshman of the Year, Offensive Lineman of the Year as well. So you know how well this UCA team has played against a Southland team. We've seen Sam Houston. The strength of the conference has shown a little bit here, especially this year. The uncertainty both teams have of one another makes this matchup more intriguing in my mind, because I don't think you can say, well, they played this team, we played all these different teams. The Bears SD Stadium, known as the Stripes because of its purple and gray striped turf, is also another factor out there. UNH has won just 2 games away from home this fall, but also fully embraces that underdog role on the road in the playoffs. I think if New Hampshire, if that offensive line can continue to adapt and continue to kind of make some room, even when it doesn't look like there's much room, and give Knight some time, the offense will need to make the most of every opportunity it has to find the scoreboard, no matter how it can. UCA owns 37 sacks as a team and has only allowed 6 sacks this season. UNH has 32 fourth down attempts and converted 15 of them. I think those are 2 unknown keys to kind of keep an eye on. The winner of this one moves on to face either number 5 seed South Dakota State or Northern Iowa in the quarters next week.
And as a reminder, you can visit cafootball.com for live stream and live stat links for both second-round playoff contests on Saturday.
I'll also give a little shout-out reminder to listen to the official CAA Football Yak podcast on Friday, breaking down all you need to know for the playoff push, all the teams. We might, gets a little crazy sometimes.
It does.
We always encourage you guys to join. And you can follow the weekend's action on social by searching CAA Football via Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook as well, using the hashtag CAAFB and the hashtag FCS Playoffs.
That's a wrap from us today. Good luck to all 3 CAA teams in action, and enjoy the games on Saturday, everyone.